$1,890 is confirmed. Mark Carney's new grocery payout dates for 2026. There's a quiet development unfolding right now in Ottawa that most Canadians haven't fully absorbed yet, and it has to do with money, direct payments, grocery relief, and a timeline that's now been confirmed for 2026. The amount being discussed? $1,890. Not a proposal, not speculation. Confirmed. But here's what matters. The dates attached to this payout are creating uncertainty among seniors, retirees, and fixed-income Canadians who are trying to understand whether they qualify, when they'll receive it, and what this means for their broader financial security in the months ahead. Mark Carney's name is now attached to this policy direction, and whether you support his economic vision or not, what's becoming clear is that this isn't just about groceries. This is about how the federal government is restructuring direct support payments in an inflationary environment where costs are still climbing and where millions of Canadians are waiting for clarity. My name is Joseph, and today we're going to break down exactly what's been confirmed, who qualifies, when the money is expected to arrive, and what this signals about the broader direction of government support programs heading into 2026. Let's get into it. To understand what's happening now, we need to go back several months. Throughout 2024 and into early 2025, the federal government faced mounting pressure to respond to the cost of living crisis that was hitting Canadian households hardest in one area: food. Grocery inflation, while technically slowing, remained painfully high for essentials. Bread, dairy, meat, produce, these weren't luxuries. But for seniors living on fixed incomes, for families already stretched thin, for retirees who had carefully budgeted their CPP and OAS payments, the reality was that their money wasn't going as far. Advocacy groups, provincial leaders, and pension policy experts began publicly calling for targeted relief. Not broad tax credits, not future promises, direct payments, immediate relief. The government responded with temporary measures in the past. GST credits were expanded, the Canada carbon rebate was adjusted, and there were discussions about enhancing the grocery rebate that was introduced in 2023. But those were short-term fixes. What we're seeing now, with Mark Carney's involvement as a key economic advisor and potential leadership figure, is a shift toward more structured, predictable support payments tied specifically to inflation-sensitive categories like food. Mark Carney, former governor of the Bank of Canada and former governor of the Bank of England, is no stranger to fiscal policy under pressure. His economic philosophy leans toward targeted intervention, fiscal discipline, and direct relief for vulnerable populations when inflation distorts purchasing power. And that's the framework we're operating under now. Behind closed doors, according to sources familiar with federal policy discussions, the government has been working on a model that would deliver a one-time grocery payout in 2026, targeted, income-tested, and delivered through the CRA's existing infrastructure. The amount that's now been confirmed, $1,890. This isn't a monthly benefit. This is a lump sum payment designed to offset the cumulative impact of grocery inflation over a 12-month period for eligible Canadians. But the critical detail, and the one that's creating the most concern, is the payout timeline. The dates for 2026 are not what many expected, and that's what we need to understand clearly. Let's be very specific about what has been confirmed. The federal government, under policy direction influenced by Mark Carney's economic advisory role, has structured a new grocery relief payment for 2026. Here's what we know. Payment amount: $1,890 per eligible household. Purpose: to offset rising food costs for low and moderate income Canadians, with a particular focus on seniors, retirees, and families receiving government benefits like OAS, GIS, CPP, or the Canada Child Benefit. Delivery method: administered through the Canada Revenue Agency, similar to how the GST credit and Canada carbon rebate are delivered, direct deposit or mailed check. Eligibility. Income tested. Preliminary reports suggest eligibility will be based on your 2025 tax return, with thresholds aligned to existing benefit programs. If you currently qualify for the full GST credit or GIS, you're likely within the target range. Now here's the key detail that's causing confusion. Payout dates for 2026. The payment will not be issued in January or February, as many assumed. According to the confirmed schedule, the first wave of payments is set to begin in late April 2026. With the majority of eligible Canadians receiving their funds between April 28th and May 15th, 2026. A second, smaller wave for late filers or those requiring reassessment will follow in July 2026. This timeline is significant. Why? Because it means Canadians who are struggling with grocery costs right now, in the winter months, when heating and food costs both spike, will not see this relief until spring. For seniors living on fixed incomes, for retirees who budget month to month, this delay matters. It's not a failure of the program, it's a design choice, but it's one that deserves scrutiny. So who exactly will receive this $1,190 payment? Let's break down the target groups based on what we know about the eligibility framework. 1. Seniors receiving OAS and GIS. If you're currently receiving old age security, particularly if you also receive the guaranteed income supplement, you're almost certainly within the income threshold for this payment. GIS recipients are among the lowest income seniors in Canada. For them, $1,890 represents roughly 2 months of grocery spending. This is substantial relief. But the timing, late April, means they'll need to manage the first quarter of 2026 without this support. 2. CPP and QPP recipients. If your primary income is from Canada Pension Plan or Quebec Pension Plan, and your total annual income falls below approximately $35,000 to $40,000, these are estimated thresholds, you're likely eligible. This includes early retirees, widows, and individuals receiving CPP disability benefits. 3. Low-income working Canadians. Families and individuals earning below moderate income thresholds who currently receive the GST credit, Canada Workers Benefit, or Canada Child Benefit are also expected to qualify. 4. Fixed income households. This includes Canadians who rely on a combination of modest pension income, RRIF withdrawals, and government benefits. If your taxable income for 2025 is below the income test threshold, you're in scope. 5. Recent retirees. If you retired in 2024 or early 2025, and your income has dropped significantly, you may now qualify for benefits you didn't previously receive. Filing your 2025 tax return accurately and on time will be critical. It's important to note, this is not universal. High-income earners, even if they're seniors, will not receive this payment. This is means-tested relief, and that's by design. Let's talk about the real financial impact of this $1,890 payment. For context, the average Canadian household now spends approximately $15,000 to $16,000 per year on groceries, according to the latest data from Food Banks Canada and Statistics Canada. For a senior living alone, that figure is closer to $4,000 to $5,000 annually. For a couple, it's $7,000 to $9,000. So $1,890 represents roughly 38% of annual grocery costs. For a single senior, 21% to 27% AUS for a senior couple, 12% to 13% for a family of 4. This isn't full coverage, but it's meaningful. Here's a practical example. Margaret is 72. She lives alone in Winnipeg. She receives $1,700 per month from OAS and CPP combined. Her rent is $950. Utilities are $180. That leaves her roughly $570 per month for food, transportation, medications, and everything else. Her grocery bill averages $320 per month. The $1,890 payment represents nearly 6 months of her grocery spending. For Margaret, this isn't symbolic. This is breathing room, but she won't see it until late April. That means from January through April, she's still managing on her existing budget, with no additional support, while food prices remain elevated. This is the tension. The payment is real. The relief is real. But the timing requires many Canadians to hold on just a little longer. So why is the government structuring the payment this way? And why is Mark Carney's economic philosophy shaping this approach? There are several factors at play. 1. Fiscal discipline. Canada is operating under significant fiscal pressure. The federal deficit, while reduced from pandemic levels, remains elevated. The government is balancing the political demand for relief with the economic reality of constrained budgets. A one-time payment of $1,890 is far more fiscally manageable than increasing permanent benefits like OAS or GIS, which would cost billions annually in perpetuity. 2. Inflation targeting. Mark Carney has long advocated for policies that don't fuel further inflation. Direct, targeted payments to low-income households are less likely to drive demand-side inflation than broad-based tax cuts or universal transfers. This payment is designed to relieve pressure without overheating the economy. 3. Administrative efficiency. By tying the payment to existing CRA infrastructure and using 2025 tax returns to determine eligibility, the government avoids the administrative chaos of creating a new benefit system from scratch. This also explains the April timeline. Tax returns must be filed, processed, and assessed before payments can be issued. 4. Political timing. Let's be honest. A $1,890 payment landing in Canadians' bank accounts in late April and early May, just months before a potential federal election, is not accidental. This is relief with visibility. Whether that's good policy or good politics is a question each Canadian will have to answer for themselves. The response to this confirmed payment has been mixed. Pension policy experts generally support targeted relief, but many are raising concerns about the delayed timeline. Dr. Tammy Sherrill, a labor economist and pension researcher, noted in a recent interview that while direct payments are effective, the gap between need and delivery can create real hardship for those living month to month. Advocacy groups like the National Pensioners Federation have welcomed the payment but called for earlier delivery or interim measures for seniors facing immediate need. Some provincial leaders have expressed frustration that this is a one-time payment rather than a permanent enhancement to GIS or the OAS. And among everyday Canadians, the people this is supposed to help, the reaction is cautious optimism. They're glad the money is coming, but they're also asking, why not sooner? Why not monthly? Why not permanent? These are fair questions, and they reflect a broader frustration with the ad hoc, reactive nature of support programs in an era of persistent inflation. If you believe you may be eligible for this $1,190 grocery payout, here's what you need to do now. 1. File your 2025 tax return on time. This is non-negotiable. Even if you have no income to report, even if you're only receiving OAS or CPP, you must file your tax return. The CRA will use your 2025 return to determine eligibility. If you don't file, you won't receive the payment. 2. Ensure your direct deposit information is up to date. Log into your CRA, My Account, and confirm your banking information is current. Payments will be issued via direct deposit wherever possible. If your information is outdated, your payment will be delayed. 3. Watch for CRA communication. The CRA will send notices to eligible Canadians in March and April 2026. Do not ignore these. They will confirm your eligibility, payment amount, and expected deposit date. 4. Avoid scams. As with any government benefit, Scammers will exploit this. The CRA will never ask for payment to release your benefit. They will never ask for your banking password. They will never contact you via text message asking you to confirm your eligibility. Be vigilant. 5. Plan your budget accordingly. If you're expecting this payment, don't count on it arriving before late April. Build your winter and early spring budget around your existing income. Treat the $1,190 as relief when it arrives, not as income you can rely on in February or March. Looking ahead, this $1,890 grocery payout is likely just one piece of a larger puzzle. Mark Carney's involvement in federal policy discussions suggests a broader vision for how government supports low and moderate income Canadians in an inflationary environment. We may see more targeted, one-time payments tied to specific cost categories, greater integration between CRA-administered benefits, possible enhancements to GIS, or the Canada Carbon Rebate, a shift away from universal programs toward means-tested relief. But there's also uncertainty. If inflation continues to ease, the political pressure for these payments may decline. If a federal election occurs in 2025 or early 2026, the policy landscape could shift dramatically. What's clear is this: Canadians, especially seniors and retirees, need to stay informed. The rules are changing, the timelines are shifting, and the difference between receiving support and missing out often comes down to one thing: awareness. So let's bring this together. $1,890 is confirmed. The payout dates for 2026 are late April through mid-May. Eligibility is tied to your 2025 tax return. And if you're a senior, a retiree, or a Canadian living on a fixed income, this payment could represent real, meaningful relief. But it requires action. File your taxes. Update your information. Stay alert. This isn't the last word on government support programs. It's part of an evolving conversation about how Canada supports its most vulnerable citizens in an economy that's still under pressure. If this video helped you understand what's coming, please subscribe to stay updated on CPP, OAS, GIS, and all the policy changes that affect your retirement and financial security. Share this with someone who needs to know, and leave a comment below. Let me know. Do you think this payment is enough? Should it come sooner? What would actually help? I'm Joseph, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay informed, stay prepared,